Hello YouTube, welcome to another video. In this video I am going to be talking about my progress so far towards my goal this year of having no further fossil fuel use in my life, or direct fossil fuel use in my life. So if you're not sure what this is all about, then check out my previous video about my goal for 2022. That'll give you a bit of background, but this video is to give you a progress update on what I've managed to do so far towards that goal. So let's start first with the big one, which is the central heating. This is obviously going to be by far the biggest expense to sort out and to move away from gas. So it's probably the one that's maybe of most interest to people who might be watching. So I'll start with this one. So what I've done so far this year is since the 1st of January pretty much, I have created a couple of temperature monitors using these little Wemos Arduino microcontrollers and a small temperature sensor which is connected to it. And I've written just a basic program to run on the Wemos that samples the temperature every few seconds and then sends that over MQTT to my Raspberry Pi server, which is basically just collecting that data and storing it in a database. And I set one of them up outside, and I've set one of them up in the sort of the center of the house, the main part of the house, where probably it's going to be the most tricky to keep a comfortable temperature. And so those have both been running since pretty much the 1st of January, logging data continuously. And then I've written a quick little page just for my own benefit for now, so I can just check that it's working, and I can see the outside temperature and the inside temperature over the course of each day. My heating system was initially set up, as it has been for years, to come on for a few hours in the morning just before we get up, to sort of warm the house up. And then switch off at about sort of 9 o'clock, which is about the time everybody's sort of left to go to work and school. And then it'll switch on again probably around 4 p.m. And then it will stay on for the rest of the evening until about sort of 10 o'clock or something, and then it'll switch off again. And it'll stay off through the night, and then repeat the process in the morning. So that's how I've typically had my central heating system set up. So for the first month of January, that's basically what my temperature readings will record. It'll show that the house will warm up, and then it'll cool off, and then at 4 p.m. it'll warm up again, etc. So then once my bill rolled over for the end of January and going into February, I thought it would be a useful data collection exercise to try and mimic more how a heat pump would work. So we've been recording the temperatures now, outside and inside, for the last month or so of January. But my gas bill rolls over at midnight tonight. So for the next month, what I thought I'd do is set the temperature on the gas boiler to 45 degrees, which is about the temperature that a heat pump would produce, and then set the heating to be on all the time, and this hopefully will simulate us having a heat pump, and then over the next month we'll be able to see whether or not it's able to keep the house at a warm temperature as the temperature outside varies up and down. Hopefully we'll get some nice really cold days in February, so we can really see whether or not it will cope, and this will give us some real genuine useful information when it comes to deciding whether or not a heat pump is the way for us to go in terms of getting rid of the gas boiler. So I'm just going to set the temperature now, and then we'll see how we get on after that. Okay, so there we go. That's set to 45 degrees now. So now I just need to go and set the main heating from being on twice a day, which it is at the moment, to being on permanently. So I've turned the boiler temperature down to 45 degrees, which is, as I understand it, sort of typical water temperature for air source heat pump. But to counter that, I've also changed the heating so that it's on 24/7. So it's permanently on, but it's heating the water to a much lower temperature, and hopefully this will give me a more realistic example of what a heat pump would do. So I'm going to do that for the whole of February's bill. Collect all the temperature data, obviously, automatically, but I'm also collecting how much gas I'm using on a daily basis, so that I can see roughly how many kilowatt hours of gas I'm using, and then maybe I can use that to work out the equivalent amount of kilowatt hours of electric I will need when I have a heat pump. So that's where I'm at with that one at the moment. It's all just collecting data, and once we've only got another month or so until we really sort of hit the spring. So I need to get as much data as possible while this winter continues, because this is my only real opportunity to get all the data I need to make an educated decision about what to do with regard to replacing it. So so that's that. The other thing I'm doing is I have ordered one of the smart electric radiators that I talked about in the first video. So this is one of the things that I am considering as an option potentially, so I've ordered one of those, which hasn't arrived yet, but it should be arriving later this week. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to switch off the main radiator in the sort of open plan kitchen dining area, which is the one that probably has to push out the most heat in order to keep that area warm. And I bought the biggest smart electric radiator I could find, that has all the modern functions on it. And what I'll do is I will, once I've finished collecting my data for February, I will basically turn off that radiator from the central heating system and temporarily replace it with this electric radiator. Set it to be an equivalent temperature to the rest of the ones in the house, and then see how it performs in terms of keeping that area warm, and whether or not it does a good job. And also I'll have a power monitor on there as well, so that I can see how much power it takes for it to do that. And again, this is all useful data that will be good to feed into my final decision when I try and decide which route I'm going to go down. So yeah, when that arrives and I get that set up, I'll make further update videos about that and explain how that's working in progress as far as, you know, how much energy that's consuming, etc. Because I'm sure there'll be some other people who are considering, you know, getting rid of their central heating system who might find that information useful. So stay tuned for that. What else? I think I also mentioned on my initial video that I was going to be getting rid of my motorcycle. So it's not the right time of year to be selling a motorcycle at the moment, so I'm waiting for the spring for that. But what I have done is I've managed to transfer off my cherished plate that I had on my motorcycle and put that on a redemption certificate, so I can keep that. And then the motorcycle is now re-registered in its original registration plate that it had when I bought it. So it's ready to be sold, but I'm just waiting for the right time to do that. But in the meantime, I've been keeping an eye on that Triumph TE1 project that I mentioned in my first video, and they have moved along to the next stage now. They have built a prototype which you can see here. It looks absolutely fantastic. I just know it's going to be way more money than I can afford to pay for it when it does come out. So I'm almost certainly not going to get one, much as I would love to, because it looks fabulous. But they are making progress. So maybe in the next couple of years that will be out, and you know we'll make a decision then based on how much it costs. But I'm almost certain it's going to be ridiculously expensive based on how expensive the Harley Davidson Livewire is compared to a normal motorcycle. It's probably going to be too expensive. But anyway, yeah, it looks great. There's a video, I'll leave a link in the description on YouTube of sort of from Triumph's site for anyone who's interested in that, that just sort of shows the initial prototype. But yeah, check that out if you're interested. What else did I have to talk about? So yes, the other gas appliance I need to get rid of is obviously the gas burners on the oven. So we've been looking at replacement ovens or replacement range cookers. The one we've got at the moment is a double width range cooker. It was in the house when we bought the house, and so we're pretty much constrained to fill that same space with something of the same sort, because the kitchen is all built around having a 110 centimeter wide oven in that gap. So realistically we've got to replace that range cooker with another range cooker. My wife and I have been looking at various ones. We obviously have a choice between having a ceramic electric hob or an induction hob. We were originally looking at the ceramic one, but since we've been having a look a little bit more into it, the induction hob seems like the better choice. It's much more controllable, a bit more like using the gas burner. So we're looking for an induction hob based range cooker, and they are ridiculously expensive. The cheapest one we've managed to find is this one here, which is by Bellway, and that is still very expensive. So the other thing I'm considering is whether or not we could find a reconditioned reconditioned range cooker that's you know, sort of under £1,000, and because you know we don't necessarily need a brand new one, but we'll see about that. I don't think my wife's so keen, so we'll see what happens on that score. But bearing in mind that really all we want to do, you know, there's nothing wrong with the ovens on the existing system. All we really want to do is stop using the gas hobs on the top. And I noticed when we were walking around IKEA the other day that IKEA do these portable induction hobs for just £39 each, which is just insane to me, that they're that cheap. But so, you know, in theory you could just grab 2 of those and that would probably be enough for us, and that's cost of £80, and you know, in one sense job done. But I don't think my wife is too keen on having 2 of these induction hobs sitting on the worktop. using up worktop space. So that's obviously not a real go, but it does go to show just how inexpensive they are, and you know how if you're not fussy about the aesthetics and stuff, you could you know get rid of your gas usage hob quite easily. Yeah. But yeah, so that one is also ongoing. We're still looking at that. Hopefully we'll get that done at some point in the summer. But really, until we've got the central heating system basically ripped out, the gas hob is you know, it's minimal amount of gas usage. So we need to sort the central heating out first before we worry about changing the cooker over. What else? Oh, something I didn't mention in my initial video is cars. We have two cars: a full electric Nissan Leaf and a plug-in hybrid Mitsubishi Outlander, which you can see here. Now this has a range of currently about 25 miles on battery alone, which for 95% of our journeys is more than adequate. My trip to work is only about 6 miles each way, so I can do that entirely on electric, and if we pop to the shops we can do it all on electric, and if I pop to the local climbing centre or anything like that, again it's very short distance, it's all electric. The only time we ever use the petrol is pretty much when we go and visit family, or if we go on holiday somewhere, you know, the Lake District or something, and we go camping, or when I pick up and drop off my son at university. So the total petrol usage is minimal. We're probably using, we pick my son up and drop him off 3 times a year. We go camping maybe once or twice a year, and we go and visit family every couple of months or so. So we're not using a huge amount of petrol, but we are still using petrol with that car. So I wanted to replace that as well and go for a second full EV. And so we've found one and we've ordered one. We're just getting it on a lease for 3 years. And so that the idea behind that was that by the end of those 3 years, that lease is up, there will be a lot more cars on the market, and we'll be able to find something more in line with what we need from an EV. Because although the choice is quite significant now, there's still not many different types of EVs around. They're all very much still of the same sort of small SUV type cars or saloons. So anyway, what we've gone for is the new MG ZS EV, which has got the long range battery, so it's like a 70 odd kilowatt hour battery, and we're hoping that this will be more than enough to allow us to get up to where my son's at university and go and visit family and stuff like that without too much trouble. So that should be arriving in I think it's sometime in April, early April, mid-April, something like that is what we're being told at the moment. And so hopefully that will turn up on time, and then I can start making some videos about that. I'm sure there's a lot of people who might be interested in that car. It's probably the best bang for your buck that's available at the moment in terms of range next to the price. We got a really good deal from a company called Vanarama, a lease deal. We happened to do it on sort of Black Friday, so we got some extra money off, and it was really cheap anyway. So I think it's going to be under £300 a month lease over 3 years, which is really good. I don't think you can get it for that now, but that's what we managed to secure it at the time. So yeah, looking forward to trying that out and making some videos about that. I'm sure that'll be of interest to quite a few people who are considering getting an EV. And then obviously once we've got that, we'll be selling off our PHEV, and hopefully that will be a good stepping stone for somebody else to dip their toe into electric vehicles. It was a great first car for us. It allowed us to get over the whole perceived idea that there was this range anxiety that we might have, and even though once you get used to it, that all disappears very quickly. You very quickly learn how far you can go and what you can and can't do with an EV. So, but it is a good first stepping stone for someone who wants to sort of move in that direction, but's a bit nervous. So, hopefully, it will be as useful to the next people as it was to us, and get them on that journey into moving away from fossil fuels. So yes, that's I think that's pretty much everything. That's where we're at now. Hopefully that's been of interest to you, and stay tuned. There'll be a lot more to come as I start to get some quotes in for actual doing the work of the various options I discussed for replacing the heating system in the first video. So I will be keeping you up to date with all of the costs and that sort of thing moving forward. So please do like, comment, subscribe to keep up. Ring that little notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I upload a new video. And I will see you all on the next video. Cheers.